Hi everybody out there. In my last video, if you remember, I said I would talk about the three different ways of thinking. We think in three different ways. We have the lookers, the listeners, and then the touchers. So the lookers, they are the 75% of the world population. They think in terms of pictures and imagery, and then they like a lot of eye contacts. They do a lot of eye contacts, and then when they are trying to remember something, they tend to look up, like, so they have a wrinkle on their forehead because that's how they try to remember. And then they love to dress well. They care about how they look. It's all about how they look. And then so they stand up tall. They stand up tall. If you want to build a relationship with a looker, you have to look at them in the eye when they are talking to you. Or when you are talking to them, you look at them in the eye directly. Also, that you have to use visual words with components that have components. Things like, hey, I see what you mean. I picture myself working with you in this project in the future. These are lookers. This is how they think. And now the 20% of the world population are the listeners. Now the listeners, well, they don't care about how they look, and they also think in terms of words and sounds. When they are trying to remember something, they tend to look down on their left. That's how they remember something. They also tend to put their hand in their. They tend to put their head in their hand. They like to go like this. And also they like to click pens when they are listening, or go like this. Another thing about listeners, they like to mumble a lot when they talk to themselves. Like they can be in the bathroom talking to themselves, or somewhere because they want to hear the sound, So these are listeners. Now, if you want to build a rapport with listeners, they don't like eye contacts. They try to avoid eye contact. So if you are talking to a listener, do not give them a lot of eye contacts. If they are talking to you, look at them a little bit and then look away. So, you can use words like, to build a connection with them, use words like, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. Use words like that, And now finally, the touchers. The touchers, these are the 5% of the world population. They like to dress for comfort, not for a style. And when they are trying to remember something, they also tend to look down to remember something. And in the touchers, they love to hug. When they are also talking to you, they love to touch you on your shoulder or your thighs or whatever the case may be. But they want that physical connection right there, physical touches right there. If you want to appeal to a toucher, allow them to touch you when they are talking to you, but appropriately. Like they can touch your shoulder or your hand while they are talking to you. They also love to give hug. When they want to hug you, do not go straight like this. If you are not a big hugger person, at least try to give them your hand, shake their hand instead of hugging them, but they want that physical touch. So these are touches. I know right now you are thinking, who are you among these three? Although we all think in all these three ways, however, one of them is our dominant. It's kind of like myself. I use both of my hands, but I am dominant with my left hand. And you watching right now, you use both hands, but your dominant hand will probably be your right hand. The same thing goes here. We think in all these three ways, but our dominant will be either a looker or a listener or a toucher. And I know right now you might be thinking, which one am I? So I want you to close your eye for a minute. Close your eye and try to remember something that you have experienced when you were a childhood, something beautiful. Or it can go as far as last week. Try to remember what happened to you last week. Now, are you thinking in terms of movie, like a video? If you are thinking that way, then you are a looker. But if you are thinking in terms of, a description, somebody is trying to describe something to you at that moment, then you are a listener. And then if you are thinking in terms of how you felt at that particular time, then you are a toucher. So thank you. And in my next video, we will talk about, eye blocking, when you are talking to people and they are blocking their eye, or shoulder stroking. When people are talking, they do shoulder stroking. I will tell you what that means. And also lip locking, like I will also tell you what that means. So stay tuned and thank you, and wait for my next video.